Give that. Yeah, stop all departures. Yeah, went in the Pentagon. Looks like it went in the Pentagon.
Well, it was like a regular day. We got to the office before 6 and go for a run. But I remember on that day, it was just such a beautiful day. Temperature was just perfect. Sky was clear. Went to the office, grabbed myself a latte, and and that morning, the day before, I had briefed General Webster, who was the director of training. So that morning, I went through. I had made all the changes that he asked for, and was in the process of printing it out. And as I'm doing that, we heard one of the guys in the next cubicle to me said, "You got your radio on?" I said, "I don't have a radio here, because most radios don't work in the Pentagon because it's a concrete box." And then at some point, somebody heard that a plane had hit the World Trade Center. At some point there, I had called my wife and I said, "Well, we were going to go out for dinner that night because it's my birthday." I said, "We can go another day. It's not that important." I said, something's going on here today. It's going to keep us busy here, I would imagine. In fact, that's when we heard that the second plane hit the other tower, and somebody had it up on their computer and they actually saw the video. And I was trying to get that on my computer, but by then the networks were so jammed up, you couldn't get much of anything. I can't remember exactly what her first comment was, but she said, "Are you okay there? Are you safe?" I said, "Dear, this is Pentagon. Nothing happens here." Being a smart aleck. And I said, "No, we're fine. We're good, dear." No, we didn't talk very long at all. And then I hung up the phone and I spun around in my chair and I went to stand up, and kaboom. And as I was standing up, that's when it hit. I just about, felt like I was going to fall over, but I didn't. And I remember I looked at the guy in the cubicle next to me, and his eyes were big as saucers. And he looked at me and he only said one thing: "Bin Laden." At first, I wanted to call my wife, and I thought, "No, I need to get out of here because we don't know what's going on, and we need to find a place where I can get to some area of safety." By the time I got to the corridor, the whole area from about my head height up was smoke. So they had gotten that far down. But anyway, so we went out into the center courtyard, and he was checking up. "Okay, where's Bill? Where's Bob?" All I could see was all the black smoke coming out of over the top of the building. So we didn't know at that point what was it. And it never really dawned on me at that point that somebody could have been hurt, let alone killed. Then I remember I looked over and I saw some guys in Air Force uniforms, and they were standing in a circle looking at the ground. And I was like, "Oh, what's going on over there?" So I walked over to see, and here, laying in the grass in the center courtyard of the Pentagon, was a chunk of the airplane. I looked at one of my colleagues, Steve Stalvey, and I said, "Steve," I said, "there was 2 planes hit New York, right?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "So where's the second plane?" And he jumped and his eyes got big as saucers, and he said, "Holy shit, let's get the hell out of here." All I could think of was that what's the next shoe going to drop? What else is going to happen? And by then they started bringing up people that were injured, and one guy he had blotches of red all over his body. And other people that had been burned and other things were bringing about. And then one of the security guards told everybody to get out through the second corridor out into the south parking lot. He said, "Unless you're a medic, get out of here." And we no more than got in the south parking lot, and they came over with one of the squad cars that said that there was an unidentified aircraft coming in our direction. Clear the parking lot. And so we went to the west towards the end, and we went around to the southwest side of the Pentagon, and we could see where the impact of the plane was. And by then, the top 3rd and 4th floors had already collapsed. And there was a straight truck that had some stuff on the back. I can't remember what it was. Walked up, and saw the guy just kind of looking around, taking it all in. And the guy looked a little peaked and said, "Hey, buddy, you okay?" And he just kind of shrugged. He says, "Man," he says, "I just came here to deliver my load, and I heard a noise. I looked up, and there's a plane was coming in." He says, "And this son of a bitch gunned the engines on the way in." And so I didn't know really, what do you say to somebody like that? I mean, was kind of speechless. I don't know, I was just trying to process what he had said. And then we just stood there for a second or two, and then he says, and I could see the people in the plane through the windows, he said.